Today I'm talking to 2017 Ruby Award winner Madeline Ash. Thanks for your time today, Madeline.
Thanks, Sarah. It's really exciting to be here.
So you write sensitive, sexy, contemporary romance. Can you tell us about your journey to publication, please?
Okay, well, it's been a bit of a long one, or it's felt that way. So way back at uni, I was studying professional writing. And at the end of first year, we had a Mills and Boon romance author come in for a guest lecture. And to date, we had learned sort of non-fiction writing and short story fiction writing, but nothing about genre fiction. So it was really engaging. And she was so passionate about the Mills and Boon sort of category length that I was just really intrigued. And I thought, what a great way to learn story structure, because at that point I still had this vision of writing fantasy sagas, 200,000 word stories, and I had no idea how to start that. So I thought, what a much more sort of digestible format and word limit. I could start with a 50,000 word Mills and Boon novel, because it sounded like so much fun, to learn how to create characters and how to plot and all of the sort of story basics that I would need to learn. So I started writing my first Mills and Boon that year and submitted it and got rejected. And I was like, I better try again. And then I kept sort of going. And after a few years, I realized it wasn't easy just because it was shorter. There's a lot to unpack and a lot to learn in that length. So then I was like, that's it. I'm going to do this. And I was hooked on romance by that point. It had been a few years. So I joined Romance Writers of Australia and I got a critique group and I started doing online courses and attending the conference and just sort of submerged myself in all of this information on how to write romance fully and completely. And so from sort of that first lecture, 6 years on from that, I had written 12 manuscripts because I was just working away at it, trying to nut this out. And I had every single one of those rejected by Mills and Boon in that time, as happened. But by 2012, I had a full request, my first full manuscript request, which was then ultimately rejected because apparently it was too tragic. But I disagreed with that. I'm like, no, this is a really exciting story and it's not tragic. It's got a lot of hope. So then I submitted that to Destiny Romance, which was Penguin Australia's imprint at the time. And within 5 days, they had accepted that for publication.
Oh, wow.
So that was really exciting. And then following that, I had another 2 accepted by Destiny in a couple of years after that. And then I decided it would be really nice to try the American readership and the American market and sort of expand a bit, because I don't write sort of rural Australian books that are like specifically, tailored to the Australian market or that specifically appeal to the Australian market. So I was sort of just wanting to expand that. So I approached Thule Publishing and then worked with Kelly Hunter and have had 4 books out with Thule in the past couple of years, which has been really exciting and sort of opened me up to submitting to the Rita Awards and just sort of getting a little bit more of a readership over there, which has been really exciting. And then I've also had my rights back on my 3 Destiny titles, so now I've sort of consolidated into a core sort of 4 books with Thule, and now I'm looking forward from there. So
excellent. So do you find that's it? Do you
for a bit there? But yeah.
Do you find you're going with Thule? It really has opened up the American market. Have you got a much bigger readership now?
I think I'm getting there. I still would like a larger readership. I still feel like I'm on the way towards sort of where I want to be. But I do think that it has helped. It's just sort of diversified it a bit and opened up sort of new settings for me as well, and sort of new story types and the tropes that really appeal to the American market and things like that, which has been really good to learn.
That's it. And obviously the American market is so much bigger than the Australian market, so it's that's fantastic. Do you have a big social media presence? You're on Twitter and
I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook, but I wouldn't say I have a huge presence. I'm not very good at sort of prioritizing that. I can get sucked down the rabbit hole a bit too quickly, so I actually tend to avoid it. I'm a little bit hands off, so I've got my Twitter and my Facebook, but I don't update probably as often as I should. I sort of go, oh no, it's writing time. I definitely just have to write. I shouldn't jump on Facebook or jump on Twitter. So that's something I need to learn, a nice happy medium, but I haven't learned it yet.
That's it. That's brilliant. Excellent. So tell us about your Rita finalist and Ruby winning book, Breaking Good.
I loved writing Breaking Good. How do I sum it up? It's basically a bad boy hero who is desperate to be good enough for a courageous heroine. It's category length. It's a secret baby trope, except the secret baby is 8 years old, so it takes place not immediately, but 8 years after the prologue. And yeah, I really enjoyed exploring the hero in that book in particular because he has adult ADHD, and I found that a really interesting conflict internal to work with, because he sort of felt like, and I researched this in great detail and went on a lot of forums where adults with ADHD were sort of, sharing about their experience and how they sort of cope with life that's built around, sort of a normal headspace, and it sort of impacted the way he viewed potential fatherhood and how he would be a father with this surprise baby, and also dealing with his internal conflict of that, which I found really fascinating. But ultimately, it ends well, as it does with so many people. But that initial conflict there, where he didn't think he would, be able to cope with that, was really engaging and fun for me to explore, and I think that resonated with readers as well.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. I love when research takes you out of what you're expecting it to be, and you learn something new. Yeah, that is fantastic. So entering competitions, how long have you been entering competitions, and how do you think this has helped your writing?
Well, I first started entering competitions pre-publication. So back when I was aspiring and learning to write, I would enter the first 5 pages, which I think is called Ripping Start now, and the First Kiss contest, and those sort of the ones that were available for aspiring writers. And they were fantastic. They were really good in terms of getting feedback on my writing, which I was getting from my critique group, but it's nice to get it from some other people as well to just expand the sort of feedback network. So that was really valuable. I would get some great constructive criticism through that, and I was able to implement that and see how that was really valuable. But I guess it also gave me sort of a structure, because I wasn't published yet. I didn't have deadlines, didn't have an editor telling me what to do. So the contests every year was something to aim for and a good goal to sort of write towards that deadline and that submission date. And then the third thing was also the practice of forming a submission. You would have to figure out the synopsis to, go with the first kiss, the sort of summary, sort of getting the characters into that situation, so that it made more sense to the judges. And that was really good practice as well, because it basically is a submission, even though it's not going to an editor or an agent, it's going to the contest, but it's really good practice at that as well. So pre-publication, the contests were just really good in terms of the practice and the feedback. And then once I was published, there was the Ruby and then the Rita as well, and they've been really exciting to enter. Kind of for fun was why I originally did it, because once you reach the level where you're published, you already submit to editors and you have your own deadlines, so you don't need that sort of anymore necessarily. So it was more just, you've had your book edited, you've had it published, you've had it read, you get this one last push for this book. It's one last thing that you can do with it for the year, is to submit it in the contest. And then you can really be like, okay, bye, I've finished with that book now, that's the last thing. So it's sort of fun and a sort of final farewell to submit it in the contest is how I sort of view that. So to be a finalist, to be lucky enough for that, sort of to have a few of my books in the Rita and the Ruby has just been really exciting and a huge bonus, sort of to have that follow that final farewell, and then the book comes back to me, and then there's some more promo I can do with that and get confidence from that, and just sort of feels like I'm doing something right to get that feedback, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Did you go over to America to be there just in case you won?
I did last year for her Secret Prince, but I didn't make it this year. I was like, 2 years in a row is just a little bit too much spontaneity for me to fly over. I'm not very good like that. So, I did the first time, so that was really exciting. And being there at the Reader Awards, it's just so many people in the room, everyone dressed up, really glamorous, and it was overwhelmingly exciting. So it was really good to get to be there that time, definitely. And then they live streamed it this year, so
I did.
Yeah, which was really good to watch. So I still felt like I was there, kind of.
Yeah, and at the conference last year, did you pick up anything that you hadn't known before, or meet anyone that you were fangirled a bit about?
Well, I went to a Nora Roberts sort of Q&A session, so I didn't ask any questions. I was too overwhelmed by her being there, but basically I was just excited. I was about 20 meters away from her, so that was the height of fangirling. But there was just so much going on. I was actually very overwhelmed by it, so I would like to go again to have my head in the space and actually learn more. But there was just 10 sessions running concurrently across 2 levels and 2,000 people, and it was just huge. And I guess the main takeaway was just the sheer volume of romance and romance writers and the quality that's there. It's just this amazing resource. Romance Writers of Australia and Romance Writers of America is just, it's just so special to have that there, that we can attend and we can all be a part of that. Was the main takeaway, just being like, romance readers and romance writers are amazing. And we get together, and the vibe that's there is just this really powerful source. So it was just nice to soak up on the vibes as well.
I think that's something important. Before I even started writing romance, I didn't even know it was a genre. And then and then I thought it was just Mills and Boon, and we have a certain preconception of what Mills and Boon is, especially if our parents read it. And then you start doing things like Romance Writers of Australia and Romance Writers of America, and you go, wow, this is huge. And it really is one of the biggest markets. So it's the biggest selling genre. It's amazing. And everyone I've met, being mostly Australian or New Zealand at this rate, has just been so supportive and so absolutely amazing, and willing to give their time and their knowledge. So I just think it's an absolutely fantastic group, and you're obviously seeing the same sort of thing.
Oh, the support is just unbelievable. Absolutely. Everyone is willing to help. Everyone wants to, recommend something else that you can do to sort of get off the ground. Or, if I'm like, I'm really struggling with this, it's like, read this book, or get in touch with her. She's really good with that. And just, the constant sort of mentoring and support is just unbelievable. I think we're so lucky to have this genre and this association, and just all the people willing to help. It's just so nice. It's a family. It's such a good family.
It is. It's our tribe. I know. I'm very active on the Facebook sites. I'm on the emerging Facebook group, as well as the community group for Romance Writers of Australia. And anytime I've got a question, you put it up, and within 5 minutes you've got the answer. Someone's told you. And then they've got the loops as well. So that's brilliant. And you were at the Brisbane conference this year?
Yes. Such nice weather compared to Melbourne.
I live in North Queensland, so it's like cold for me. But so you actually won the award this year, so that was brilliant to watch you go up and get that.
I was so nervous. It was very exciting though. I think I dropped my pins and my certificates too many times. I was just a fumbling mess because I was so thrilled. It was very exciting.
Congratulations, I really want to say that. And
Thank you.
I've bought the book and I'm about halfway through it and I'm loving it. So well done.
Thanks, Sarah.
Excellent. So tell us about Juggling a Career, because you write these novels and then you also work part-time. So and you work as a business writer. So tell us how you juggle that and how you have the creative to be able to do both.
Well, I suppose they're like two different hats, because the business writing is all non-fiction. It doesn't require, it requires creativity, but sort of in a different way. I'm not making stuff up. I'm just making stuff that exists sound really good. So I guess I'm lucky that I work 3 days a week in the business writing, and I get to write 2 days for my romance novels. So I have those set days a week, so I can really focus on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't think about romance too much. I just let it sit at the back of my mind, sort of ticking over. And so I can, not have to think about that. And then when I get to Thursday, Friday, I can then, on the reverse, sort of block out the professional stuff and just focus, sort of sink into my fiction. So I find that divide really helpful for me. Whereas I know some people, working full time who then also write romance. I don't know how they do it. Like, just finding the time to do that and switching gears within the same day must be really difficult. So I find myself really lucky in that. Maybe not the best person to ask how to do it on the higher level. But yeah, it's just, I can't remember. I've deviated from the question too much to remember what I was talking about.
That's okay. So on your writing days, is it sit at your desk by 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
And bum on the seat until 5 o'clock or something like that?
Yeah, I really do try to do that. So I've viewed it as a job even while I was still aspiring. The days that I would have off uni or something like that, I was like, that's it, that's what I'm doing today, it's my job. And so I would sit down and stick with it the whole day, just getting up for lunch or an exercise break if I was getting too restless sitting there. So I really treat it, I'm the boss and I'm not letting myself get out of the chair till I've finished my word count. So sometimes that might mean I write till 5, then go cook dinner and have it, but I still have to sit down for, the next 500 words before I reach that word count for the day. And I find it really helpful to view it like that and just to have the sort of discipline to sit there and get it done. But that's for me and sort of the way I work. There are a lot of people who write a lot faster than I do as well. So just having set time, they can sort of fly in and get in the zone and sort of crank it out. Whereas I spend my 2 days a week and I usually reach maybe 2,500 words in total across those 2 days. I'm just particularly slow, but we get there in the end.
So slow and steady.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
And tell us, is there ever any doubt now that you've got these awards? Is there ever any self-doubt, and how do you conquer that?
So much self-doubt. A good example of that, I suppose, is just this year at the Brisbane conference when I won the Ruby. Was really excited, and then I thought about it overnight. The book I was currently working on for Thule, I had a mid-October deadline, which is now, and it was a book. It was going to be my shortest turnaround. I was like, I can do it. It's good practice. I can do it. I just have to really concentrate and get it done. And then I said to Megan from Thule, who was there the next day, I said, I'm kind of freaking out. I don't think I can do it. Because of this Ruby, finalist, it felt like it put the pressure on even more. And if someone who hadn't read any of my books try, the Madeline Ash brand with this next one coming out, and it's not as good because I won't have spent as much time on it, it's going to be terrible. And they're going to think, why did she win this award? She's rubbish. So I just sort of had all this doubt that I couldn't do it, even though I'm sure I would have been able to do it in that turnaround. I just would have really had to stick with it. But I had this moment where I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't. So she's like, that's okay. Take as long as you need. So she just alleviated the doubt by just giving me more time, which was really good. So I think part of that was all wrapped up in just doubt of, I don't think I can ever write a good book again. I've done it once and that's it for me. So we definitely still get the doubt, and it just sort of adds pressure from a different angle, because we have pressure from all angles. No matter where we are, we'll always feel it in some way. So that was just, some more pressure.
Yes, we don't need to pressure ourselves. There's so much, much pressure in our lives as it is, just being women in today's world. That's excellent. And so where can we find you online, Madeline, if people want to buy your books and talk to you some more?
Well, I have a website, so madelineash.net, which I update not all the time, but I do have a blog there that I try and get to. I am on Twitter and Facebook, so I'm Madeline Ash on Twitter, I think Madeline_Ash, and Madeline Ash Author on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well as Madeline Ash Author. So I do check those accounts every day, but I'm just not totally active on them. So if you get in touch with me there or follow or something, then I'll be able to to interact with you there as well, which would be really good. And email, I'm happy to have, the website has a contact form, so it's nice to hear from readers as well if you want to get in touch that way, and I'll email back and have a fun conversation, which is good too.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting to me today, and all the best for the future. I'm looking forward to some new books.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been really fun, Sarah. Thanks for having me on.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.